Hi everybody, this is Kevin and I'm doing another Zoom chat, and as you can see I'm chatting with my friend Marq English. Hi Mark, how you doing?
Very well, Kevin. How are you? You all right?
Yeah, I'm not bad mate, I'm not bad, thank you very much. So Mark, what I want to try and do is I want to try and find out about the person that's behind the name. So can you tell me where it was that you originated from? Were you born around where you live now, or were you born somewhere else?
No, I was born in Eastbourne, down on the south coast.
Okay.
I was adopted at 6 weeks, so very early. Then moved to Rayleigh in Essex for
Yeah.
the first 4 years of my life. And then I've been in sort of the Sutton area pretty much for the last 50 years, apart
Right.
from working abroad a bit. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So now I
Yeah.
live in Surrey.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. So you were born there. You went into obviously into education. Did you go into college or university or anything like that?
No, I wish I did. That's one of my. I don't have regrets, but I do regret that. I went straight into got employment when I left school, so I didn't do very well at school. Although I like to think I'm quite intelligent, but I didn't go to university, and I regret that.
Yeah.
Or for higher education at least.
Yes,
But
of
it was a
course.
different sort of landscape back then. Jobs are available, and I wanted money, so I
Yeah.
went to the supermarket for 5 years.
Right.
Which I saw. Yeah, I do. I'm not being snobbish, but I do regret that.
Yeah, yeah. But we know that you, or I know a lot of people won't know, but I do know that you're in a theatre. And how long have you been working in the theatre?
I worked in the West End from 1995 to 1999 at the Lyric Theatre on Shaftesbury Avenue. During that period, I was working abroad as well in America on a summer camp
Right.
over the long summers. I did that for 4 years. Came back, did a couple of odd office jobs, which I hated. And then I rejoined the theatre in 2004 after working in the cinema for a year. So I've been working at South London Theatre for the last 16 years. So I'm still technically employed because I'm on furlough. But yes, I've been working it's my longest job. I've been working at this theatre for now 16 years. I'm the head of stage door around the back.
Oh, right. Okay. And what sort of things do they put on at the theatre?
Well, we're what we call a receiving house. So that's all touring, not at the moment, but touring musicals, one-night shows. We used to have the biggest panto in the country every year, but now the London Palladium's taken that thunder. But panto every year. But yeah, we're generally a touring venue. So although we're in a London postcode, we're actually a regional venue.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit of yeah. I think we should be under London personally, but we're our regional venue. Yeah. We're part of the Ambassador Theatre Group, which is probably the biggest theatre company in the world.
Okay. And what sort of celebrities have you met and seen a lot over the years?
Millions. How long you got? How long have you got? I mean, I'm not being cocky. I don't really get that. I've been doing it so long. I don't go, oh wow, look who it is coming through. Yeah. I've met all Hollywood A-list down to B-list.
Oh right, okay.
So yeah, I mean, everyone.
Yeah. So it's quite nice because there must be a hell of a variety of shows and people that come through that makes it that much more interesting.
It does, yeah. I mean, occasionally, even now, still someone walks in stage door who I've admired for years, and I go, oh, who it is? But you're there doing a job,
Yeah, of course,
nearly everyone's lovely. Have I got starstruck? Not really. No, I say probably not really. Not really.
Okay.
I do a little bit of look who it is, but not being really starstruck. I did a little bit actually. That's more for nostalgia. Right. You might remember this, Kevin. He only died recently. A gentleman called Brian Kent, who used to do the old airways and all that, and play school. He was doing when I first died at the theatre, and I did have a little bit of a moment when he came in with that distinctive voice that he had.
Yeah, absolutely.
And anyone do a Doctor Who, of course, they walk in. I'm fine. I'm like, generally, no, I just I'm friends with most of these people, so it's just one of those things goes with the job, really.
Yeah, of course. So from that, is it from sort of that background of being a part of theatre that got you into filmmaking and things like that? Because you've got quite a variety of things you do when it comes to filmmaking, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I mean, God, I've been filmmaking since the 1980s. No, filmmaking has always been my number one love.
Right.
I think, yeah, I started out on Super 8, and then onto sort of Video 8, that kind of thing. And then it really kicked off around 2000, 2001 when I did my first proper film, with proper actors.
Yeah.
So I've done a load of short films, 2 feature films, a couple of documentaries. Oh God, 80 episodes of our old Spiral Paranormal series, which was broadcast on TV.
Yeah.
And now I'm just a vlogger on the good old YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I subscribe to your channel. I think you subscribe to mine.
I do indeed, yeah.
But it's the vlogging side of it. You know, I've only been doing this 2.5 years or something. So I try and watch people like yourself, Andrew Norris. Andrew, I just love the way Andrew Norris does his films. It's just very, very natural the way he talks about things.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Lovely films, lovely films. Yours are. Oh, you've come leaps and bounds.
Well, I'm never going to be as good as someone like yourself or Andrew or somebody that we know, Mr. Bobes. But when I go out, I'm just trying to tell people what I'm seeing as I see it, with a little bit of information. I sometimes think too much information can become a little bit, can I say, boring?
I totally agree with you. I like to, if I am going somewhere, I'll get a little bit of back information, but don't go overboard. You don't do that. Richard doesn't do that. You know, I think, it's a little bit too much, you know. I mean, I was vlogging 12 years ago, before, only when that word was literally just coming in. I sort of missed a trick, really, because vlogging really took off about 2015, 2016, as we know it today. And I sort of regret that a little bit, thinking I missed that boat, you know. I mean, I've been on YouTube since it started. My earliest video on one of my old channels is October 2006.
Oh, wow.
YouTube's only been on. Yeah, YouTube's only been on for 6 months before that. So it's still online. So I've got a few old. I've had about 6 channels over the years, but my main one now, Marq English, is my main one.
So you've been producing stuff for YouTube, what, 14 years then?
14 years, yeah.
Blimey. So what? So how big is your catalogue of films then? Do you have a number?
I couldn't really do it off the top of my head, but it's quite a lot. Yeah, I mean, it's documentaries, feature films, short films, vlogs. Obviously, I think vlogs are the most I've done, because I've done about 250 so far. And obviously freelancing, shooting stuff for other people. So yeah, it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot. But now it's vlogging.
But do you worry? This is something I've thought about quite often. Do you worry that because of the amount of people that are out there vlogging, and you love to go around churches, I love to go around churches, that there's going to be such a mass of people doing these things that we're going to run out of interest of what places to go to. Although this country is absolutely packed with such lovely places to go to.
Absolutely. I think that's a very good point. I think, how many people can do the same thing, you know? But I still think it's quite niche interest, really. I mean, like, I'm sure we've got viewers from around the world. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to not just do exploring. I want to go into things like personal development, breathwork, that kind of thing as well. So I want to sort of broaden it out a little bit, you know. I haven't been, because of lockdown, I've not really been out. I've not really been out, apart from shopping, for about 4 months.
Right.
You know, that's been, like most people, everyone's mental health is bloody suffering a little bit, you know. So I haven't really been out at all, which has been a bit disappointing. But yeah, you know, it's not going to last forever, and then we can get back to it. But yeah, at the moment, it's not much productivity. Yeah,
this is my problem. I did have a not a backlog, but I had a few videos in hand, and I'm now scraping the barrel. I've got one more video to finish editing, along with this chat with you and then Robert Croser's chat, and that's all I've got out ready to ready to go out. So I need to start, even if we go into lockdown or this what we're in now. you're not allowed to travel too far. That's the other problem. So I'm going to have to start going back around my local town again, which is Midhurst.
But there's but Midhurst, when you took us around back in the summer, which is absolutely fascinating. What a rich history that place has got.
I know.
What a rich history.
Yeah.
You're lucky.
Oh, yeah, very, very lucky. You know, we've got 100, I think it's 100 buildings in Midhurst that are listed.
Wow.
But there are other things coming on board that, you know, as you know, I work with Cynthia Walder and Steve Musco, just like a little team. Steve loves the history side of it. Cynthia loves the sort of Steve sends the information to Cynthia. She produces small bits of information for me. And they both love taking photographs, but we're looking into something to do around Midhurst. In fact, it come through an email I got from Richard Phobes about a viewer of his was interested in Midhurst police station in the 1870s. We can't really find out much about it, but I've been putting my thinking cap on, and I think I've come up with a possible solution, but I need to just think about it a little bit more before I put it onto a video.
Does Midhurst have a historical society or something like that?
They do, but it's very difficult to get hold of them. That's the trouble. There is a historian, a lady. She knows everything about Midhurst. But can I find out what that woman's name is? No, I can't. But yeah, I put feelers out there for different people, and they're trying to get little bits of information for me. But yeah, we'll see what happens. So going back to yourself, you know, enough about me. This isn't about me. This is about you. Yeah, I know. It's what these are chats about, really, Mark. That's what I started doing. Is I want to do more. I've got, again, feelers out to other people all over the world, America and Australia, that I want to do chats with, and I just think this brings another little bit of dimension to my YouTube channel, and it's I want to do it. The chat. I don't like to call them interviews. Other people do. I just want to call them a chat. It's like
conversation.
It's conversation. It's like mates talking to each other. And so I want to do more of these. And it's just very easy. It's very off the cuff, so to speak. But we know churches are a place you love to go to. Have you got a special destination or a place that you love to go and do a film at?
Yes. That'll always be Avery.
Avery, yeah.
Avery down in Wiltshire. That's my home away from home. I was down there in the summer during lockdown for a couple of days. I met my friend Rob, who I've done a lot of research. We do a lot of dowsing down there. Yeah. There's so much unexplained stuff that goes on around that area, which is that's a whole other conversation. But Avery, yeah. I went to Stonehenge for the first time in donkey's years as well back in the summer. But Avery wins hands down. You know, you can walk up to the stones, you can touch them. Unlike Stonehenge, which is only there's a barrier, you can't go up to them. But Avery is I've been down there since 1991. It's a very special place for me.
Yeah, yeah. So you say you do, and I've seen you in your videos. You do your dowsing. How did you get into dowsing?
Literally, when I was down at Avery back in 1994, I think it was 95, we said, "Oh, look, some dowsing rods. We give it a go. Anyone can do it, by the way. There's nothing mystical about it." Well, there is a little bit.
I've done it once.
Well, how did you find it?
It was strange. I was working for a building company, and I was on the painting and decorating side, but we didn't have a lot of work on. So I was sent out with the two builders, and there was a leak in a water main. And they wanted to find out where the water main was outside this house, the farmhouse. So one of the chaps, John, said, "Fred, have you got your dowsing rods?"
Wow.
And I just looked and I went, "What are you on about?" From underneath the seat of the van, they brought these two bits of wire, you know, with a little handle on. And I just stood back thinking, what are these guys doing? Anyway, John got hold of them and he walked along and I'm watching them and the two rods crossed. So Fred put a mark on the ground. He backed away. He come in from a different direction, and they crossed, and it was directly above the mark on the ground. And John said, "That's where the pipe is. All we've got to do is dig down and find where the leak is."
Fascinating.
And I just said, "But can anybody do that?" And John said, "Yeah." He said, "Take the rods, go to a different place so you don't know where the pipe is, and walk slowly, holding them out in front of you, and where they cross, that is where the pipe will be." And I tried it 6 times, 6, 7 times. It crossed exactly where the pipe was.
Yeah. As long as you've got the right intention, you know what you're looking for. You've got to ask that question in your head, what you're looking for. Yeah, I do. I'm more into earth energies, earth currents, electromagnetic currents, which Avery is a very powerful site, one of the most powerful sites in the world, actually. Yeah, I still use the same rods I bought 25 years ago. These copper rods from the hen shop at Avery. I loved it. Yeah, really, really, really interesting.
Yeah. What would you say is the most interesting thing that you think you may have found? Is there anything? Is there anything you can say from your dowsing?
Yeah, well, we done for the last 10 years. My friend Rob and I, who I've known for 30 years, he does a lot of sort of the other side of Avery and the surrounding area. You know, UFOs. If there's a video I did recently from the summer, if people want to look at my channel, called Unexplained Phenomena of Wiltshire, that explains all what's going on there, and it's more than you think it is. But what we think is, with all the dowsing work done around Avery, we think Avery is actually a much bigger site than we think than the current research says. It's a much, much bigger site and a much more important site, more important than Stonehenge.
Right.
Avery was almost like the capital of ancient Britain.
Right, okay.
The North Downs Way, the South Downs Way, the Ridgeway, ancient pathways, all traverse and finish at Avery.
Wow.
Yeah, which is not very well known.
I certainly didn't know that. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know where you got the North Downs Way, for example. That finishes in Farnham, the official route, but it goes on further. We don't quite know which way, but there's archaeological evidence to support that. The Ridgeway, of course, which goes from Ivanhoe Beacon down to Avery, that would originated come from the Norfolk coast, from when there was a landmass before the English Channel was formed. So these ancient routes all traversing to Avery, which is fascinating. You know, you think it would go to sort of Londinium, but no, it went straight into the West Country. Wow. Fascinating stuff. Yeah.
When you say that you down in Avery, you've got the stones and you can touch them. What do you sense when you touch the stones? That's something I've always. Sorry, say again.
Personally, nothing. I don't get any zing off the stones at all. I always wondered why that was, but no. I mean, I resonate to them, but I don't get any feeling off them or anything. Remember that nearly 99% of the stones that are left have been re-erected in the 1930s by Alexander Keeler, who's an archaeologist. He was the heir to the Dundee Marmalade Company.
Right.
He resurrected, because when he went there, all the stones were just lying down or buried, and he put them back in concrete and re-erected them. Knocked down loads of old buildings to make it look more, and then the National Trust bought it in, I think, 1940 something. Right. So yeah, only one stone is still in its present position as it was 6,000 years ago, and that's the Swindon Stone just by the main road that goes through Avery. But all the rest have all been re-erected.
Right, okay. Yeah.
But you know, Avery's a big landscape. It's not just Avery, the Stone Circle. You've got Silbury Hill, which is the largest man-made prehistoric structure in Europe, probably the world. No one knows what that's for, but that has some weird phenomena going on. You've got West Kennet Long Barrow, which is an ancient burial mound you can just walk into, which is fascinating. Swallowhead Spring, ancient spring. The Ridgeway, obviously, as I said. The Wimble Hill, which is one of our very earliest occupied sites.
Yeah.
What's interesting, especially West Kennet, Long Barrow, Silbury Hill, is where the Michael and Mary energy currents transverse through the site, which are electromagnetic currents, which you can detect by dowsing. They're very, very strong currents.
Yeah. So from that, what would you say is, obviously that's your favourite place to go.
That in Florida.
I was just about to say, I know you. I was just about to say, I know you've been to America, so Florida would be the next place you'd favour.
Yeah, I've always been drawn to Florida. I don't know why. I go every year, not this year. Hopefully, I've rebooked for April. Hopefully, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why it is. I just got a real, especially the Florida Keys and Key
Yes.
West, a
Yeah.
real draw to it. So
Yeah.
the advantage of being on lockdown is I'm saving up a lot of money. So we'll see what happens next year.
Yeah. So you mentioned about your paranormal films you make and stuff like that. Where have you been, and what buildings and properties have you been into to do that?
Loads. I mean, one of my favourite properties actually is one of my favourite buildings, which is Mitchell Priory down in East Sussex.
Right.
Amazing, beautiful old building. So it used to be a former, oh my goodness me, abbey.
Right.
I have a very different view on the paranormal to most people, especially when I'm talking about ghosts here. I don't think anywhere is haunted. I've always said that I don't think anywhere is haunted. If it exists, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Walking down the street, you don't need to find these old houses to go into to find a ghost. My friends I got friends who are psychic, what I call raw psychics. They see stuff all the time, but they don't make a big deal about it. So yeah, I think the modern way that the media portrays it is still way behind how it really is. Clankling chains and let's do it in the dark and all that nonsense. You don't need to do it in the dark. Do it at 10 o'clock in the morning if you want to go for a ghost hunt.
Yeah. I can remember my cousin Sue Blount is all part of the Vogue, the Ball Explorer, stuff like that. She sent me, I think it was her that sent me a photograph that was taken from outside a place called Annesley Post Office. And I've been past this post office many times when I've been up to the Midlands to visit family. And the weird thing about this photograph she sent me, it was like an outline of two men with cloth caps on, but you could see straight through them.
Right.
And
I need to look at the photo. I'm very sceptical of any people who say they've got a ghost on photo.
Yeah.
They usually can be quite easily.
Yeah. I think it was a photograph that was sent to what's the name of the newspaper up there? Hucknall Times or something.
Up north.
Yes, right, up north, up in the Midlands. But yeah, it was just weird. It was just weird. These two men in these cloth caps walking away from Annesley, but right outside the old post office. And
it's interesting that, because people got to remember, a ghost is just a recording.
Yeah.
If you want to try and communicate, you want to communicate with spirit. So they're totally different. And I'm very much for our consciousness doesn't stay within this three-dimensional body.
Yeah. Not far from here, a place called Diddling Church, or the Shepherd's Church, I think it's called. It's right at the bottom of the South Downs. My son and a couple of his friends had heard about this place being haunted. So they went at night. There's no lighting in this place. So they sat in the church. There's a couple of candles burning, I think. And all the windows were shut. All the doors were shut. But just in this faint light of the candles, one of the chandeliers started swaying. And it really spooked them, because James said there was no reason for that candle chandelier to start moving. And
I think we've been to that church as well in the middle of the night. I think we've been to that church, Diddling Church.
Have you? Yeah.
Churches are very nice beer. Churches are fascinating. I've got water.
Oh, good man. That's what. So I've been to Diddling Church several times, and it is an incredible little place. And when I've been there, I've sort of try and imagine what it would have been like, because even now, the fields are quite often full of sheep, and you hear the sound of the bleating, the sheep's bleating and the lamb's bleating, and you can almost imagine what it was like back in those, because the church has not changed. It might have had a
No.
lick of paint on it, but it's basically the same as what it was when it was first built. But you can almost imagine the shepherds and that in their like long white gowns and their shepherd's crooks being there. And,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely love it. Love it there. But I have suggested to Steve and Cynthia that we go there just when it's beginning to get dark, when I can still use the camera, the video camera for vlogging, and then just try and be quiet, which would be tough for me to do. But try and get some sort of a feel of the place, what it's like, just as the lights beginning to go. But we'll have to see.
I said before, you don't need to go into an old church. You could do it in your own house. If you've got an older house.
Yeah. Now this place was only built in 1974, so I know a lot going in here.
My mum's house here, it's we were the first people to move in here, so there's no one here before. It's an allotment before then,
Right, yeah. Cool. Anyway, Mark, we've got about to 8:15, so I think we've got probably as much out of this as time-wise that we can get.
Oh, thank you very much. That's been fantastic.
I hope you enjoy. Sorry, say again.
We got there in the end. The viewers won't know we had a few technical problems yesterday because I'm a filmmaker and I couldn't even plug in my microphone into the correct port. It's embarrassing.
But Mark, look, I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly have. It's been fascinating getting to actually talk to you, because when we've met before, you've been filming and stuff like that, or on one of the walks, three of us. What did we do? What do you call it? We bombed your video.
My video, that was at Reigate Fort. Yeah,
Reigate Fort, that's right. So we didn't really get a chance to talk, but it's been great talking to you, trying to find out a bit more about you and about your life, and I really appreciate your time.
You're very welcome, Kevin.
Thanks very much, Mark, and we'll catch you again. You have a good Christmas, as we're just come Christmas Eve doing this.
Yeah, and then we'll get together next year when it's all back to normal. Hopefully.
Love to. Look forward to it, Mark.
All right, buddy.
Friend, take care.
Cheers.
I'll raise a glass to you. Cheers,
I'll raise water. Cheers.
Cheers, Mark. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All the best.
Cheers.